a lot of different responsibilities related to a curatorial role. I think the most obvious thing that people think of when they think of curators in museums are exhibits, so that's one thing I do. I develop the idea of what I'd like to do an exhibit on, do research, do writing, deal with design issues, getting it all up, and then related programming to the exhibits. I work with the museum collections to help build or add things to our collections, to make sure they're cared for properly, to make sure all of the legal steps that are involved in adding things to the museum collections are taken care of, and again, research related to those things. I work with educational programs. I work with a lot of museums and technology issues. In my specific research area are quilts, so many of my projects are quilt related, but not all. Well, like many people on campus, my day usually starts with email, and a lot of times checking in with students to see what they're doing that day. But another thing I do is I coordinate our internship program, so if there's any issues related to interns, I work with those. And then I start to work on one of my projects. If it's an exhibit, I might do some of the writing or the research, or same thing with the publication. If it's one of my big projects is called the Quilt Index, and that's a online digital library of quilt-related materials from around the world. So if I'm working on that project, I might be working on a grant. I might be communicating with someone at another museum about adding their materials to the Quilt Index. Well, I'm always working on things related to the Quilt Index. I'm also working on our virtual outreach program, and that's a program where we do a lesson in a museum space, and then a classroom somewhere around the country interacts with us. So I'm developing a couple of programs for that, one on mask, which is related to the current mask exhibit at the museum, and one on quilts and human rights. I also have been working with a professor from art and art history on an exhibit that just opened called Redress, which is really cool because it's about sustainable dress design, and it all is about designs that students here on campus did using sustainable issues and design in their garments. My favorite thing about my job is that I get to interact with objects in a lot of ways, so that can be anything from researching them to dealing with classes and them and interacting and using them as a teaching tool with others. I love working with the objects, and I love the fact that there is a lot of curiosity, and I'm always learning something new, so it's really fun because I am always doing something new and different and learning myself to keep things interesting.